What's going on, everybody? It is Big L56 here, bringing you our Week 2 battle of Season 7 of the WPF. Today, we're taking on Coach Duck and his Rochester Raboot. If you watch the team builder, you know what I'm bringing, why I'm bringing it, but we'll just run through the team real quick. I'm bringing Meowstick, Volcarona, Togekiss, Megalopony, Galvantula, and Heatran. And if we look at his team, he brought Buzzwole, the Mega Venusaur, Torkoal, Rotom Heat, Milotic, and the Grimmsnarl. First thing I noticed is that he definitely brought the Torkoal, the Rotom, the Venusaur, three things that I was 1000% sure he was going to bring. I 100% expected the Grimmsnarl, and I thought his other two Mons were going to be Noivern and Ninetales, but I thought there was a good chance he'd bring Milotic, and I didn't really think he'd bring Buzzwole, but it is a good Pokemon, and if it gets a couple Beast Boosts up, it can really tear through a team. Whenever I was thinking about leads with Big Shane, we thought he would definitely lead Torkoal, and we thought that the best lead to go up against that would be the Galvantula, and as you can see here, we were 100% right with the lead matchup. So I decided first thing, I'm going for the Volt Switch. I didn't want to get webs up right away because even though we're sashed, I think that's a turn we lose 100% of the time. There's a really good chance that this thing has Rapid Spin. If I go for webs and he goes for a Flamethrower or a Lava Plume or a Stone Edge like I expect him to have for the Volcarona, he can just Rapid Spin the following turn, and I gave up my sash on Galvantula for virtually nothing. So I go for the Volt Switch. I do 37%. That's around what I was expecting. I was expecting to do 30-35, and I go out into my Heatran. I was expecting him to go for Stealth Rocks or a Fire move here. If you watch the team builder, you know that this will absolutely, with Eruption, decimate this Torkoal at this range if I'm at 100% health. But he goes ahead and he shows the Stone Edge right off the bat, and it does a lot more than I was expecting. I did the calcs for this, and the 27% tells me that this has quite a bit of offensive investment. And the worst thing about that amount of damage is it's out of Eruption range whenever I'm this low of health. So even in the sun, I can't stay in. So I'm going to go ahead and go out on the Togekiss to scout for the Earthquake. And that's exactly what he goes for. So I know he's got the Stone Edge, and here I make a big misplay. I think I was predicting him to go out into the Rotom. I know he's got Stone Edge. I go into Volcarona, and I get really lucky here, and he misses the Stone Edge. This Stone Edge would have 100% killed me if it would have hit. It was really unfortunate for him. I think this was the miss that could have potentially changed the game. But at this point, I was trying to just figure out how to work around this offensive Torkoal. So I'm trying to figure this thing out. I switch out into Lopunny. I knew it could take any hit this thing wanted to go for, and the health on Lopunny isn't really that important in the grand scheme of things. The main thing I wanted it for was to pivot around, which it can do without much health as long as rocks aren't up, and for a non-Scarf Noivern, which he didn't even bring. So I know the health doesn't matter, and here I decide I'm going to stall out some Sun. I just go for a Fake Out. I don't Mega Evolve because as regular Lopunny, I still have the Limber ability. So if somehow, I'm in against a Grimmsnarl later, he can't T-Wave me if he has it because I'm immune to paralysis. The Fake Out does very little to Buzzwole, which I didn't expect it to. And this following, I just U-turn out. I know that I can't really do much to this thing. I'm going to go out into Galvantula, expecting him to go for maybe a fighting move, and I see that this has Stone Edge. And it hits, and it takes Galvantula down to its sash. That was a play that kind of took me by surprise. I thought he'd go for a fighting move, expecting me to either want to stay in for some reason, or maybe expecting the Heat Train. So I decide here, I'm just going to Volt Switch. I don't think he'll want to stay in. I'm just going to Volt Switch, and I get a good 20% off on the Rotom Heat. That damage told me that most likely he is a fully offensive Rotom, because even if he was just max HP, max special attack, or even if he had a lot of HP investment, I should not have been able to do that much. So the offensive Rotom that I was afraid of, if you watch the team builder, it looks like he brought it. So I just go out into Lopunny. I decide to go for the Mega here, just to make my Lopunny a bit stronger. And I go for the Fake Out again. It does very little to the Buzzwole. And so I just do the same thing I did last time. I go for the U-turn. It does, like I said, 0. And I just decide I'm just going to sack off my Galvantula. Maybe he'll go for another Stone Edge and miss, and I can get some Volt Switch damage off. The only thing that Galvantula really did for me was show me that the Rotom and the Torkoal were both offensive. Other than that, it didn't really do anything. I was really hoping I could have gotten webs up, but we weren't able to, and that's kind of a bummer, but ultimately, I don't think it really matters that much. I didn't really feel like I needed webs. Webs were more of a luxury. So here, I decide I'm going to go out into my Scarf Heatran. I know he's not going to want to stay in. I can go ahead and just fire up. I go for Flamethrower. At this point, Eruption and Flamethrower were kind of the same damage, whether I went for it, no matter which one I went for. So I didn't want to reveal the Eruption, because we do play each other again later, because we're in the same division. But here, I'm just going to go out and Meowstick. I don't know what this thing can really go for. I did learn, however, on that last turn, he doesn't have a Flame Orb. So if he is Marvel Scale, he felt like Leftovers was more important than getting that boost. Or he could just be competitive, which, again, I don't have a single Mon that has Intimidate on my team. So I don't think he's that. Or I guess he could have been Q-Charm. I do have a few good physical attackers. He could have been Q-Charm to try to weaken them. So here, he goes for the Flip Turn whenever I bring in the Meowstick, and I 100% expect him to go Grimmsnarl. I can't touch this thing. I literally can't do anything to it because it's immune to Prankster. I go out and Togekiss because I want to see what this thing has. He goes for a Reflect, so that leads me to believe that he has both screens. And here, I'm just going to go for an Air Slash. I don't know if he's going to want to stay in. And he reveals the Taunt. So that tells me that he's got Reflect. If he has Reflect, he more than likely has Light Screen too. If he has Taunt, that means that he either doesn't have an attacking move, or he doesn't have Thunder Wave, which I really thought he'd bring on the Grimmsnarl. So he goes for the Taunt. I go for the Air Slash, which, looking back, was kind of a misplay. Based on this damage, I can see that if I had gone for Dazzling Gleam, I would have had a roll to KO and could have potentially knocked this thing out. Would have never had to deal with light screens. But unfortunately, I get the play wrong. I thought maybe he'd go out into either Rotom or Torkoal. And here, I'm like, okay, if he's going to be willing to lay this thing in, I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Dazzling Gleam. I don't quite pick up the kill because he does go for the light screen. We assumed right. He did have the light screen. And the following turn, I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to go for another Dazzling Gleam as he goes out into Rotom Heat. But every little bit of damage on this is really important because, as you can see, he has no way to pass health around, no Wish Pass, nothing like that. So any damage I can get on this thing is more than likely permanent unless he has Pain Split. So I can't stay in here. I decide, you know what, I'm going to go out with my Meowstick. My Meowstick is fully specially defensive. This thing can't really hit me that hard. And he goes out to Torkoal, which I thought was kind of surprising. But, he wants to keep his sun up. So I decide, you know what? He didn't really want to switch this thing out that much last time he had it in. So I'm just going to go ahead go for a protect to stall out this sun, stall out some of these screens. But you know what? He makes a really nice double here. Goes out into Buzzwole. I mean, if I had gone for a Psychic there, it's kind of a dangerous play for him. If I had gone for a Psychic there, I could have gotten a nice chunk of damage off on this. But, he made a really nice double here. Nice play. And he gets the Buzzwole in for free. And here, I just decide, you know what? I would love to be able to slow this thing down, get a Thunder Wave off on it, and if he has, Leech Life or something like that, he definitely kills me because I'm specially defensive. But if he does go for those and breaks through, then he kills me, so be it. Maybe I can get a full para and I can go for, some subs and some protects the following turns to stall out this sun, stall out these screens. But the most important thing is I can now bring my Togekiss on this anytime I want whenever I get a free switch, because I know it can't outspeed me now. So he reveals the lunge and he does get the KO on Meowstic, which is kind of unfortunate, but in a way, Meowstic did something that was really important. It allowed me to bring in one of the best offensive threats on my team against this Pokemon anytime I wanted to. So now, as we go on, I go out straight out into that Togekiss, and because now I know that I 100% of the time outspeed this thing, and he's definitely not going to want to stay in. But I can't risk it. I go ahead and go for the Air Slash, because at +1, even though, yes, through Light Screen and Air Slash 100% would have killed, I can't risk setting up because of the +1 Stone Edge definitely would have knocked me out as well. So I go for the Air Slash, which gets some nice little chip on this Rotom through the screens. And here, I make a little bit of a dangerous play of my own. I knew, based on calcs, that there was nothing that he could go for that would kill me. If he went for an Overheat, he couldn't kill me, and I lived the next one, and I could just roost it off too. So I decide, you know what? I'm going to try to stall out these Light Screen and the sun. I'm just going to go for a roost here. The Volt Switch does 50%, which again tells me 100% that he is very offensive. And he goes out into the Milotic. And all I do is roost off that damage. I'm back to 99% with the Milotic sitting in front of me and Light Screens running out in one turn. So I decide, you know what? Light Screens are gone the next turn. This thing can't really touch me with an Ice Beam. I am going to pull the trigger and I'm going to set up a big nasty plot and get to +2. It is time for Togekiss to put in some work. The Light Screens are gone. I'm in against a Mon that can't really touch me. And he goes for the flip turn, does a little bit. Obviously, it's in the sun. It's not going to do much. I go for the Dazzling Gleam, and we knock out the only thing that resists both of our stabs. That offensive Rotom that I was so scared of gets knocked out. It didn't really get to do much. I think we played around it really, really well, and this Togekiss picks up its first kill of the day. Moving on, he goes out into the Grimmsnarl. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to mess around. I don't think he has Thunder Wave. Otherwise, he has no attacking moves, which means I could just bring in Volcarona and set up Quiver Dance after Quiver Dance after Quiver Dance on it. So, but I don't want to mess around with this. So he goes for the Light Screen. I just go for the Dazzling Gleam. And Togekiss picks up another kill. Here, he goes out into this Torkoal to set the sun back up, which makes sense. You know, I've got Togekiss out. And if he has 0 speed on his Venusaur, we speed tie. and this Togekiss outspeeds this Torkoal, the Buzzwole, and the Milotic can't touch me. So he goes out into Torkoal. I think, you know what? I'm just going to go for the Air Slash. I'm pretty sure I got a low mid roll here. I think it was a roll to kill, but I was like, you know what? If it kills, great. I can get a flinch. If he does go for the Stone Edge, if he goes for the Stone Edge and hits, it definitely doesn't kill me, and I can roost and pick up that kill. I can roost and stall out this Sun. All those things are really, really good for me. And I do get the flinch. The following turn, I think to myself, you know what? I'm just going to roost. If he's going to let this thing go down, I'm going to stall out as many turns of this Sun as I can. And he reveals a really good prep on his part. And he reveals the Clear Smog, which was kind of a bummer at the time. That was really, really good prep on Duck's part. I don't know if he expected Nasty Plot Togekiss, if it was for Quiver Dance on Volcarona, or if it was even for Power Up Punch on Megalopony, but it was a really nice prep on his part. That tells me, you know what, I can't mess around. He's not going to let me set up for free. He's not going to let me stay set up. I'm just going to go for Air Slash and knock this thing out, and he brings in the Venusaur. And I get a really, really nice chunk of damage off on the Venusaur here. And this next turn, I know that this Venusaur cannot knock me out with any move. And I know that most likely, if I get around the same roll as I did on that last turn, that I can bring Megalopony in and fake it out the following turn and claim the KO that way. So I stay in here. He goes for the Sludge Bomb. And this is where the game might have... I think it made a little bit of a difference. I don't think it made a difference in the grand scheme of things, but I get the crit on the Air Slash through the light screen. I don't think, like I said, I don't think it made a difference in the grand scheme of things. Like I said, I think I could have brought in the Megalopony, gotten the fake out off, and gotten a KO that way. But it definitely would have made this end game very, very, very difficult for me had the Venusaur not gone down there. But Togekiss picks up yet another kill. Now here, I have to leave. This Togekiss is still a win con. I can roost on the Torkoal and I can roost on the Buzzwole. So I go out into Megalopony. I thought for sure... Excuse me, just getting a drink. I thought for sure he would go out into Buzzwole here. So he scalds on the switch out. I thought for sure he'd go out into Buzzwole here, so I just U-turned. Because he had gone into Buzzwole on this every other time. If I had known Milotic was going to stay in, I probably would have either faked out or gone for close combat. But it worked out perfectly for me because I can just go out into Volcarona. I know there's not really anything it can do to me in the Sun. Scald, you can see, does very pitiful damage. And I'm just like, I know I'm faster than you. We're in the Sun. I'm going to go for the Quiver Dance. And spoiler alert, we Quiver Dance a bunch of times and sweep the rest of his team. I'm going to speed up the end here just so it doesn't take a long time. This was a really, really good game. It was definitely way closer than a 4-0. I felt really, really bad about that Stone Edge miss early, but I think he went for 5 or 6 Stone Edges throughout the game and he only missed one. It's an 80% accurate move, so I definitely wouldn't call that hacks necessarily. That Air Slash crit was kind of big against the Venusaur, but like I explained, I do think we could have played around that. And I think that was the only crit I got the entire game. So one crit over the course of an entire game, I wouldn't exactly call that hacks either. But as you just saw, Volcarona cleaned up, got up some Quiver Dances and cleaned up the game. That's 3 kills for Volcarona in its debut. And that is GG's to Duck. And that is another 4-0 victory for us. We're starting off strong. 2-0 with a +8 differential. Our prep work is really, really coming through, I feel. That's where I feel like I won this game, was in prep. We recognized that Nasty Plot Togekiss and Quiver Dance Volcarona were going to be big problems for him in prep, and we were able to execute. I feel like, aside from that early mispredict, bringing in Volcarona, I feel like I played really, really well this game. I feel like I took chances where they were necessary to where I could maximize the benefit, and they paid off for me. Staying in on the Rotom, staying in on the Venusaur, they put me in great positions to really win the game. Duck, I'm looking forward to playing you again in week, I believe, 11. But that is GG's, and we will see you guys in week 3. Peace out.